13 Weather Impact Alert.
Good Monday evening, everyone. I'm 13 on your side's Julia Gorman, joined by, of course, meteorologist Blake Hansen. We wanted to give a sort of an update right now, just because we're seeing such a tremendous impact, especially along the lakeshore, but along a lot of West Michigan right now. We've been seeing an impact all day with that bitter cold and lots of snow. But you kind of wanted to heighten the urgency because we didn't have a traditional newscast this evening, you know, on normal traditional television. So we wanted to just make sure that folks were aware of what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, Julia, is that ever since we got done with the early shows at 5 and 6, the lake effect snow has really picked up over the past few hours to the point where some of the snow in those most robust bands is coming down in the way of accumulation. This is the live look right now here in downtown Grand Rapids. And Julia, this kind of tells the story. The visibility is so reduced, especially because of the fine texture of the snow. Yeah. You were driving in what, West Olive Township?
Yeah, we were driving from Grand Rapids to the West Olive area earlier tonight, probably right around dinner time, and it was very difficult to see. The road's still slippery, as we often deal with, but the visibility, I mean, there were points where we could barely see 10, 20 feet in front of us.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we had a lot of accidents today, including a few pileups that involved over a dozen, 15 cars just outside of our studio, or outside of our station at the Alpine Avenue interchange on I-96. What's happening now, though, Julia, is that today all day long, these lake effect snow bands were really disorganized. They would come in and out. We're really starting to see the banding take hold now. Our wind is sustained out of the west. Yeah, this is a big difference compared to earlier this afternoon, earlier this morning. Really over the last 2 hours or so, we're seeing the lake effect snow, what we call convergence in our atmosphere. That means our winds are kind of colliding together, and that's creating an uptick in the banding here of the lake effect snow. This is when you can really squeeze out a lot of snow in the way of lake effect, and that's what we're starting to see here. This is the radar based on the Grand Rapids site. So where the Ford International Airport is, they have the radar dome there. This is what's picking up on radar. And I'm going to really make it super sensitive here. And you can really kind of separate where some of these heaviest bands are right now. I'm going to quickly go from, Grand Rapids back along 96 towards, let's say Marne, all the way back towards Grand Haven. It is coming down at a really good clip.
And we know when we're seeing such banding like that, and this was something that my photographer and I experienced earlier today, you might be driving and it seems fine, and you make it maybe 10, 15 minutes down the road, and you hit a band, and then all of a sudden, that visibility is just next to nothing. Yeah,
that is the hardest part with lake effect snow. And we're in the middle of January now, almost 2/3 of the way through January now. And we know the drill with lake effect snow. We've seen it many times this winter, but it's really comes down to these bitter cold temperatures on top of it. That really causes the snow to be fine in nature, and you saw that on your drive. Yeah. It wasn't just the lake effect itself, but it's all the blowing and drifting snow that's creating a huge issue here and allowing for that visibility to be near zero.
And it's also tricky too. I know we were seeing even earlier today, but especially this evening too, that swirling of snow on the roads on top of just snow that's piling up on the road. So difficult to see the lines in the road, and then you can't see through your windshield either. So it's so many things happening at once.
It seems like our producer Bree, she was saying that there's a jackknife semi. Is that right, Bree?
You can take a look here.
Yeah, they were getting a view out of our tower camera here in Grand Rapids. This is downtown 131 in Leonard.
You can see quite a few responder vehicles, police cars, fire trucks there, probably a good 5 or 6 at this point. Difficult to see through our tower cam just because of the visibility.
Yeah, the visibility is near zero here in Grand Rapids. Outside of our station in Walker, I was just outside measuring snow on the weather deck. You can't see a thing. This is some whiteout conditions that are ongoing right now. So again, that's a jackknife semi in the heart of Grand Rapids, 131 and Leonard. And we've seen this all day long.
Yeah, it's been one after another.
And I know, get a lot of feedback. People say, it's a winter day here in Michigan. We still got to use those common sense tips when we're out on the roads. You really want to give yourself extra distance and time, especially when we're contending with roads that are becoming quite hazardous now through the nighttime hours. I want to go back to radar real quick here and just show that, again, some of these bands along I-96, so we're talking, again, the greater Grand Rapids area, western Kent County, back towards Coopersville, into the Marne area, Fruitport, for example, towards Grand Haven. Yeah, the snow is coming down at a really good clip. We're also seeing additional snow impacting parts of I-196, again, towards the Hudsonville area, Granville, for example. That's where we're seeing some heavy snow at the moment, and some bursts of snow in Allegan and Barry County. So this is, really starting to take hold, the lake effect snow this evening. And really, Julie, I don't think this is going to end anytime soon this evening into tonight. Our high resolution model does a really good job at picking up lake effect snow. We call it the HRRR. That's what we call it, also known as the HRRR. We like this model a lot. It does really well during lake effect setups. And you can just see through tonight, this is midnight now, so a good 2.5 hours from now, there's really not much change in the orientation of where it's depicting these lake effect bands. I do sense by tomorrow morning we might see those bands shift a little bit more out of the classic west-northwest bands, which would target Holland, south side of Grand Rapids, or later the southern tip of Kent County into Allegan, Barry County, for example. And then finally tomorrow we'll start to see the lake effect become a little bit more disorganized once again. Some of that's due to the peak of daytime heating. And then finally tomorrow night we'll see the snow come to an end. Now in terms of accumulation, again, lake effect snow,
could be a little bit of anything.
Bets are off limit here, when it comes to lake effect snow and how much we could see. But I really do think that we will see several more inches in those heaviest bands. This might be even a bit conservative by tomorrow morning. I would not be surprised. Some spots, if this banding can really hold strong over the next several hours, 3, 4, maybe 5 inches of additional snow on top of what is already fallen.
Prepare for that range.
And then we still got tomorrow to go through, and I think we'll pick up a couple more inches. The thing that's the biggest thing on top of it is that these numbers, we're talking temperatures that are in the single digits right now. Lakeview's 2 below, Bacosta's 3 below.
That is serious colds. Even for Michiganders who are used to cold, this is more severe.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of times where we can really fall into the single digits because we have the influence of Lake Michigan nearby. It acts like a buffer. That's why there's only been a handful of times since 1999 where Grand Rapids, Muskegon have seen single-digit high temperatures. Now, Grand Rapids did hit 10 degrees today. Muskegon did not. Muskegon hit 9 today for the high, and it's been 6 years since Muskegon had a single-digit high temperature. So this doesn't happen every given winter. Look at the broader view. Again, this is some really cold air funneling in, from the Arctic, and this is the actual air temperature. You go to International Falls, it's 23 below zero.
Yeah, at least we're not there.
I have a guy I know from college. He's in North Dakota, and the wind chill yesterday was 50 below. Oof. Yeah, that's cold. Now, our wind chill here at home is ranging from 5 to 15 below zero, but we really won't see much of a difference over the next 36 hours. And that's what makes the lake effect snow even more impactful. Because
we're staying so cold.
So cold. We've talked about it for days. I think many of you know at home, you get this cold. Salt's not effective. You're just basically hoping that you can scrape the pavement as best as you can.
Yeah, put out a little sand maybe, but there's no melting happening.
Yeah, there's no melting by any means. And the wind chill itself is going to remain below zero, sub-zero through tomorrow. It's going to feel 10 to 20 below zero in the middle of the afternoon tomorrow. And then we really bottom out Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning. I think that's when we're going to have our coldest pocket of air. Will be Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning. Now, the actual air temperature could be 5 to 10 below zero, but we wake up Wednesday morning, we could have 20 to 25 below zero for the wind chill. And then finally, we see some improvement by the end of Wednesday into Thursday. Really, by Thursday itself, we'll see some improvement. But of course, from a travel standpoint, there's the MDOT map, and it's all orange or it's all red. And I'm going to try to zoom in here. This is in the greater Grand Rapids area. And
still just a lot of traffic impact. And, it sounds redundant. It feels like we're saying it all the time. Obviously we're used to difficult road conditions and weather like this, but especially at this time of night, if you can stay home, stay home. That's really the best advice.
And the other thing too, and this is going back to our tower camera there in Grand Rapids.
Looks like more lights than we were seeing just about 10 minutes ago.
What it comes down to is that we've seen a lot of accidents all day long. And the other side of the story is that basically every school district here in West Michigan, I think every school district, in fact, is closed tomorrow. And I think they're going to do it all over again Wednesday, to be honest. I'm not a superintendent by any means. I'm not going to make that call, but I wouldn't be shocked if that happens again on Wednesday, just because school buses aren't going to get on the back roads.
Right.
With how icy it's going to be.
And having kids standing outside.
That alone too.
Never knowing what kind of coats we're wearing or if we're walking to school, that's just not safe for the kiddos.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing over these next 36 hours is that we're just not going to see improvement on the roads.
Right.
They're going to remain treacherous here and there, and especially with the lake effect really taking hold tonight. I think tomorrow's commute for people that do have to head to work tomorrow will be much worse compared to this morning.
Good to know.
This morning we had lake effect snow here and there, but we were still kind of, there were many pockets where it wasn't too bad in terms of snow. Where I live, northern side of Kent County, I probably had 1.5 inches of snow when I left work.
As we sort of saw the day continue is when things took a deeper dive.
Would I be surprised I have several more inches on the ground when I get home later tonight, And so, again, we're really focusing in on some of these impactful snow bands here. Really going to make radar pretty sensitive here. This is just trying to pick where those heaviest bursts of snow are residing. And you can see, stretching along 96 right here where we're at in Walker, back along as you head into parts of Ottawa County, stretching just a little bit on the south side of Grand Haven, in the Spring Lake area, even in Allendale. Grand Valley, I believe they're remote tomorrow, but on-campus stuff.
I think we've seen a couple of smaller local college-level schools shut down for tomorrow, but I mean, it's hundreds across the state, and it's at least 100. I think we're right around the 150 range, if not a little bit more, just in the West Michigan area.
Yeah, and again, you got another band, come stretching along I-196, Wyoming, Hudsonville, Zeeland. One of my neighbors works for a towing company. She messaged me, be careful getting home tonight, Blake. Roads are pretty bad. And she's been out in elements for many, many, many years. So, again, we're not trying to, scare people here. We're not trying to tell people.
But something to take serious,
it's something to take serious because we're still contending with many accidents, even at, we're getting close to 10 o'clock on this Monday evening. Many people maybe had the day off. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of school today. Kids don't have school tomorrow. So there's really not a big reason to be out and about. Let the road crews try to do their best.
The more space they have, the better. And if you do have to be out there, we all know it, but it's always a good reminder to just be taking it slow, not crowding those plows. That's illegal here in the state of Michigan, to be giving them plenty of space. And if you are passing by a crash, we all know there's that urge to look and see what happened. But in conditions like this, carry on. If it's impactful, of course, we'll tell you about it. But you want to be giving emergency vehicles or vehicles that have been disabled on the side of the road plenty of room, taking it slow, not sneaking up on anything to get a look, and just taking it slow. Lots of space between you and the vehicles in front of you so that if you have to stop quick, there's plenty of space.
Yeah, that's a big thing. In terms of all the school closings tomorrow, Bree, I don't know if you have that page up. 262 schools? Wow.
All in Michigan,
Yeah, so you obviously can go to our website, 13onyourside.com, get to the closings page. They're listed there.
We've got them all.
You might scroll a little bit
to find your school, and if there's any more that aren't up there yet, we'll be posting them as soon as we know, of course, and then any of those real, impactful crashes or situations that we're dealing with, like a couple of the pileups that we saw today. We're also, of course, sharing information about that, about, any major roadways that may be closed. This is really our central focus right now, of course.
By far, we're going to be on our late night news at 11, coming up in about an hour, some change. We'll stay on here for a few more minutes as people jump in and out. Of course, Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks, she'll have you covered tomorrow morning. She's been busy, each and every morning, and she's going to have you covered tomorrow as well. Dave Cackley with traffic, because I really do think that tomorrow's commute in many spots, especially who's seeing some of this heavy lake effect snow right now, it's going to be even more treacherous compared to this morning. Someone's asking about Newaygo County. I'm going to try to get back to. For all the FedEx drivers, I'm going to broaden out the view here. Sometimes Newaygo County gets skipped in terms of radar because, Julie, what happens is that the radar beam overshoots some of this lake effect snow as you start getting a little bit farther away from radar. Of course, I do think there is a little bit of lake effect snow in Newaygo County. Not as robust, not as heavy as what we're seeing here in that Muskegon, Grand Rapids line, a little bit to the south and west. But roads in Newaygo County, a lot of rural roads in Newaygo County, they're going to be icy. They're going to be dicey as tomorrow or as tonight goes on into tomorrow. wouldn't be surprised, that there's some tough travel, even in Newaygo County, even if they don't see as much lake effect snow. Usually off a westerly wind, Newaygo County isn't favored to see as much lake effect snow compared to, that Muskegon Grand Rapids line a little bit to the south, but again.
So if you have to be going out to work, whether that's FedEx or whatever else, that extra time, I know it, oh, I don't need it, but even just 15 minutes, half hour extra just to, better to be early, rather than to get into a situation or, end up being late. Extra time is always a good call. And, just preparing for things to be slow, preparing for there to be traffic, preparing for there to be accidents, just getting in that mindset, because that is what we're dealing with. We're still dealing with it at this hour in our area, and we've been dealing with it all day long. It's been a lot of our coverage today.
And I want to go, I'm going to save something on my computer here, but I'm going to go back to the Holland view real quick. And, Holland has a snow melt system, but, when you talk about numbers in the single digits, and sometimes
only going to do so much.
They can only do so much. There's only a handful of times in a winter where the snow melt system in Holland can't even overcome these cold temperatures. Obviously a pretty quiet look in downtown Holland,
which is good. You can get those roads cleared, but as you were mentioning too, when we're this cold, and we've talked about this before, salt just won't really work anymore. So they're scraping what they can, and they're putting sand down.
And then we're going to go back to radar, because I do want to show back where some of that heaviest lake effect snow is. Here it is. And, again, we're talking Grand Rapids, Walker, Comstock Park, back towards Marne, Coopersville. It's coming down at a pretty good clip. Allendale, obviously where Grand Valley's at. That's a sweet spot for lake effect snow. Grand Haven, Ferrysburg again, and then as you head a little bit farther to the south, I'm just kind of highlighting some of these heavier bands of lake effect snow, even everywhere across parts of Ottawa, Western Kent County, into Muskegon County, contending with some snow. But these are where the heaviest bursts are ongoing right now. Byron Center, the Kentwood area, definitely seeing some heavy snow. And then as you go down towards parts of Wayland into Shelbyville, even as far south, we're getting into northern Van Buren, northern Kalamazoo County. That's where some of those bursts of snow. Now these spots down here, Julia, they really know their lake effect snow. They're a lake effect snow belt for sure, especially, Fenville, Allegan, for example, down
they're old pros.
The Bloomingdale area. And
I do feel like a lot of this is a bit more east than our last few snowstorms. Grand Rapids has kind of missed out on some of that lake effect impact in our last few snowstorms. So seeing quite a bit more of that.
And part of that is because of that westerly component of the wind. Here's what we're looking at, wind-wise, sustained out of the west, at a good, 10, 15 miles per hour. Some of those gusts at the lakeshore. Look at Muskegon. It's gusting to 35 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
You don't want to be outside if you don't have to, absolutely.
Obviously, temperatures are in the single digits. And then when you factor in the wind, it's feeling like it's 10 below in the heart of Muskegon right now. It's pretty cold.
That's cold. And what we've been hearing too from authorities in our areas, if you are out, it's always a good idea to have blankets, extra coats, snacks, water in your car. So if for some reason you're stuck on the side of the road waiting for traffic, or you are in some kind of a crash, no matter how severe, you have that, because you could be waiting. And this is not weather that you can just wait outside, roll down your windows. You need to be keeping warm, and you want to stay in your car. That's what we're hearing over and over and over again. We did hear that at a crash earlier today, someone was hit because they got out of their car. So you want to be staying in your car, letting first responders do their work. But it's good to be prepared, because you may be stuck. Those pileups from earlier today, those take hours to clean up.
Exactly. And my philosophy in weather, I'm never going to tell anyone that do something or not to do something. But again, if there's really no need to head out and about it, even into tomorrow, be a couch potato.
If you can work from home, all the power to you.
But obviously understand, if you have to, people got to work, people got to do things tomorrow. Really give yourself some extra time, some extra distance, because tomorrow morning's commute's going to be definitely a little bit on the dicey side. We're going to go back to radar one more time here, and then kind of wrap this up. We got to get prepped for the 11 p.m. show. We'll have full coverage of what's going on at 11 o'clock, and again tomorrow morning 4:30 to 7. The morning crew will have you covered, and they're actually going to do another streaming show tomorrow at, I believe, 10 o'clock or so. They went on 10 to 12 this morning, and they're going to go 10 to 11 tomorrow morning. You can get that on 13 Plus, which you can download on Roku, Fire TV. I think there's one other on there.
Yeah, Roku, Fire, and Apple TV, and that's different than our app. So the app is probably on your phone. 13 Plus is probably on your television. So Fire, Apple, and Roku TV, you can watch it just like you watch television, but on one of those streaming services. And
you can also watch it on YouTube.
You can too. There you go.
There's so many ways you can watch it now. So again, we're just going to highlight for those that are just joining in. We have the lake effect snow really getting its act together. I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed since about 7:30.
Really just powering it up.
That things were pretty disorganized. And actually, I'm going to see how far of a loop I can take here. There we go. This is going to be a good look here. This was 10 o'clock this morning. See how the bands, they're there, but they kind of were disorganized throughout the day.
Kind of spotty.
They're almost like cells
coming
off the lake. They were spotty, hit and miss, a couple minutes. Yeah, it was a little rough, near zero visibility, whiteout conditions, quick accumulation, and then it passed by. But really, once we got past the afternoon, once we lost that daytime heating, that's when we really started to see these bands. And this is 6 o'clock now.
Oh, wow.
Here's 7. Look how much this really started to take over. And yeah, you can see
much more pronounced.
We got that convergence in our winds that allows a lot of these bands to really squeeze out the favorable ingredients that are needed for lake effect snow, and that's why we're seeing these heavier bursts over the course of the last 2 to 3 hours. And again, I'm really making radar sensitive here. This is just kind of canceling out some of the lighter snow and maybe some of the noise on radar. But when you see these darker shades of blue, dark blue, in fact, that's
when you know it's coming down.
It's pretty heavy. And outside of our studios, just was outside, grabbed some food real quick. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. And that's the thing that you really have to be cautious about heading out and about. So again, the heart of Grand Rapids, Walker, back towards Allendale, just to the south of Grand Haven, even into parts of Muskegon County, Norton Shores, into the Ravenna area, some decent snow reaching the ground, and then back towards Hudsonville, Byron Center, and then even stretching down into our far southern communities, Allegan, towards parts of northern Van Buren and Kalamazoo County. So, definitely just something to keep in mind if you're, heading out and about, if you have to tonight, that some of these roads are definitely going to be treacherous as road crews are just, trying to keep up on.
They're doing their best.
They're trying their best, trying to keep up on the main drags here across West Michigan. And, especially for tomorrow morning's commute, luckily the kiddos don't have to go to school.
Yeah.
They get an enjoyable day off, a little.
I'm jealous.
For some, I think, many schools were closed today if they did have school today. If they didn't, well, it's an extra long weekend for them. And they might even extend that into Wednesday. As I said, I think they're going to have, there's going to be very little in terms of school being open on Wednesday with that cold air holding strong. Again, temperatures are below zero. Let's just go back to the graphics one more time. This is the wind chill tomorrow morning. We're talking anywhere between 10 to possibly 20 plus below zero. That's pretty cold.
That's cold.
It's one of those things. Some people say, "Oh, it's winter. It's winter in Michigan." It's how long this is lasting.
Several days.
We're talking. This was the case all day today. Even last night, it was below zero. The wind chill. By tomorrow at this time, outside of maybe the immediate lakeshore, and again, that's all just because of the influence of Lake Michigan. Water temperatures are still around 40 degrees. It might feel as cold as 25 below zero in some spots. And that being such a prolonged time below zero, the wind chill, that does have an impact on us, no matter how you want to cut it. Even into Wednesday morning, that wind chill still well below zero. And then finally later Wednesday, and especially Thursday, we'll have some relief from the lake effect and the cold air itself as well. I think by later Thursday, we'll kind of wrap this all up. But again, it's pretty dicey out there this evening. Something you just want to keep in mind. And we'll have you covered at 11.
Yeah.
You and I will. Again, if you are going to go to bed pretty soon, 11 o'clock is late. We're tired too. We get it. If you are heading to bed tomorrow morning, again, Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks, she's going to have you covered 4:30 to 7, even beyond that. A lot of cut-ins. They're going to do a special streaming show at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Dave Cackley will have you covered with traffic. And then we're going to continue our coverage in the evening and night side tomorrow
and
as
of course
well.
everything on our app always as well, and we're constantly also streaming on 13 Plus, looks at radar like you were just showing, looks at our tower cams of how conditions are. But our our next update, how many? Yep, just about an hour and 5. So we'll have all the latest.
And anyone has any questions, you can find my individual Facebook page, meteorologist Blake Hansen. Feel free to shoot me a message. Always down to help out. If you have a question. I'm not a stranger, so we can. I'll do my best. If not, try to answer a few questions on this Facebook Live over the course of the next hour. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We got some things that we're going to get going before we get to the late news. Really thank everyone who's tuning in. And again, if you don't have to head out and about, be a couch potato tonight.
Stay in, stay warm.
Stay warm, and then we'll have you covered on the 11 p.m. show in an hour and 5 minutes from now. All right. Thanks, everyone.